This video is just a promo for my fanfic, so if you like this rewrite, my fanfic link is in the description. My Hero Academia is about a boy in a superhero world. He wants to be a superhero, but he doesn't have any superpowers. So he eats the hair of someone who does and gets its powers. Oh, and there's like a lot of child abuse and murder, I guess. Now, with this rewrite, one of the most important things to change is our main character, Midoriya Izuku. Now, in my rewrite, I'm keeping him quirkless. Quirkless, like he doesn't have any superpowers. He doesn't eat all my hair. He has long lashes. I decided to give him some because I want him to look kind of weaker. Like I feel like if he looks more feminine, people will underestimate him, and I just want him to look kind of different. And I also gave him like the bushy long hair to like hide a certain scar, and also because like longer hair just makes him look less confident in himself. I don't know, something like that. And lastly, I wanted him to be sadder. He's just sadder and angstier, and he just feels worthless because, well, he's worthless. Now, this rewrite is inspired by Nux Taku's video about Deku, where he criticizes that because All Might just gives him powers, he doesn't have much hardship to go through as a character. Unlike some shonen protagonists like Luffy, he is more or less a flat character, but he still goes through character development because the world around him just is so against his ideals. And if Deku stayed workless, he could be like just like Luffy, that his entire existence or his beliefs is just so against the norm, against the social status that. And that's what I want to do with my rewrite of Midoriya Izuku. Now for the next part of his rewrite, his relationships. Specifically, his relationships with other characters. And the person we're starting with is Bakugo Katsumi, his bully or quote-unquote childhood friend. Now when they were younger, Bakugo and Midoriya were friends. Because childhood friends, right? And then suddenly, one day when Bakugo gets his quirk, he starts to bully Midoriya and belittles him for having no quirk. And when Midoriya gets into the Hero Academy UA, the two get into a fight, and at some point Bakugo admits that he's jealous of Midoriya. And personally, so Bakugo bullies Midoriya because he has inferiority complex, which fair enough, it's common for bullies to have it, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. I personally can't really explain why. I just want to say this is my rewrite of it. So Bakugo and Midoriya are friends, childhood friends, blah blah blah, and then one day Bakugo gets his quirk. It's an explosion quirk, and he accidentally hits Midoriya with a blast, and it just harms a part of his face. And because of that, that's the scar I was talking about, that Midoriya hides with his hair because it's like somewhere near his like forehead / his scalp. So because of that, Bakugo is scared to hurt Midoriya again, so he pushes him away by bullying him and to make Midoriya hate him. This kind of reminds me of that situation with Amity and Willow, where Amity bullies Willow because her parents don't want her to hang out with Willow. But she doesn't handle it very well. She could have just told Willow, like, my parents don't like me hanging out with you, so I'm sorry. But instead, she chose to bully Willow because she doesn't really know any better. And Bakugo handles his situation the same way because, well, his mom just communicates with him through shouting, and he just doesn't know any better, so he just bullies Midoriya. Now, the dynamic I want these two to have is Bakugo means well, but he's just really bad at communicating his emotions, and he also thinks of himself as a monster for accidentally hurting Midoriya, and but still cares so much about Midoriya despite pushing him away. Now, from Midoriya's point of view, he does not understand why Bakugo all of a sudden, after Bakugo got his quirk, why he started being so distant and started being so mean to him when they were getting along so well. He starts to think that Bakugo looks down on him when it's not really the case. That Bakugo feels so powerful, or like he hates Midoriya for being so weak, and because of that he doesn't want to associate with him and associates with people who actually have quirks, and they gang up on him, bully him, and it just lowers Midoriya's self-esteem, and because of that he doesn't really have any friends at all, because at that point Bakugo was one of his only friends. Now, from what I remember in the canon story, after Bakugo gets rescued by Midoriya and All Might and stuff, it's when around like All Might loses his quirk, and Bakugo like kind of blames himself because he got kidnapped, and like they're fighting and whatever, until like I guess at some point Midoriya just forgives him for everything. I don't really remember, and I might be remembering it wrong, but that's what I took away from it. He just forgives him for all the shit he's done, and Bakugo didn't even apologize. He apologized when it was like season 6. So I appreciate the fact that there was an apology for his shitty actions in the first place. I really wanted his apology to be sooner, but it is what it is, I guess. And I want my Bakugo to just improve from his mistakes and be a better person. And the next person I want to talk about is Inko Midoriya, which is Midoriya's mom. Midoriya's mom in the original is not really that supportive, but when she does discourage him, she just cries and just asks for her forgiveness. Now, in my rewrite, I want Inko to be supportive, but also not really. Like, she supports her son's dreams, but she also understands his limits and his capabilities, and that it's not likely for him to become a hero. And the next thing I want to rewrite is the world building. Let's start with quirks. Now, in canon, the quirks originate from a glowing baby. It's literally just Big Bang Baby. In my rewrite, though it's kind of a spoiler, is quirks originate from radiation experimentation on humans. Like, these scientists, 2 scientists, wanted to know the next stage of evolution for humans. So they experimented on humans and kids to find out that maybe radiation is the next step to human evolution. And it worked! It worked! However, only one survived. And that person gave birth to the glowing baby, and the glowing baby gave quirk to almost everyone. Now, one thing I want to note here is that the glowing baby, the quirk of that baby is all for one. Because all for one and one for all, like, all for one came from one for all came from all for one, because all for one gave one for all away. And I don't know how, but all for one I think makes sense that it is the catalyst for all quirks. Like, I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, anyways, the important thing is the baby does not survive. The baby will die. But all for one, the quirk is still in the baby. Like, you can pass that quirk is taken by someone, and they gave it to someone else. Now, I want to say, a person cannot have 2 quirks. It's the fact that it's way too OP. It's also it also will not work. The body will just not, will just, it will break down. It will not be able to process that quirk because having one quirk is hard. It takes a toll on the body, let alone having two. Now, for my quirks, there are three versions. There's someone with a quirk, someone with an awakened quirk. When someone has a quirk, it's just normal, the usual, the same as canon. But when they awaken their quirk, they're much more powerful and stuff, which makes sense, right? You awaken your quirk, blah blah blah. But this is the but. Because you awaken your quirk, your body responds. You take in much more of the power of the quirk, and your body becomes unstable. And sometimes if you cannot control it, you can get hospitalized, or you just kind of die in a way. And that's when the third phase type, when you awaken your quirk, when your body becomes unstable, your quirk takes over your body, and that's when you become a yokai. I wanted to say monster, but since it's Japan, why not use yokai? Now, yokai in Japanese folklore are like supernatural beings and stuff, which I think applies to this pretty well because, for example, if you have like an ice quirk, when you awaken that quirk and you lose control and turn into a yokai, you just become an ice yokai. Or like in the first chapter in My Hero Academia, there's like that slime thing that eats Midoriya and Bakugo. So the reason why in my rewrite they're doing that is because they need to eat human flesh. So basically that thing was a human before, but since they awakened their quirk and they turn into a slime thing, that's how they survive. They eat humans, or they just eat living beings to keep going. Now, since quirks work like this now, it makes so much more sense when we get to that point where there's that part where like, oh, we're gonna make sure you permanently cannot have quirks anymore, or you want to reverse the not being quirkless thing. It just makes more sense because if you awaken your quirk, you can't control it, you'd want to remove it. There's like a market for selling this kind of stuff. Now, the next topic I want to tackle is technology. Like, why is this set in the present day? That just makes no sense. Imagine you have a bunch of superpowers and stuff, but like no time has passed. Like, do you know how long it takes for humans to do evolution? Forever. It takes them forever. So why isn't the technology like different, more advanced and whatever? So that's what I'm changing with mine. So far, I guess for me, like, there would be more robots helping humans or like holograms, I guess. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. And the last thing I want to tackle is Hero Society. Hero Society, they say is like, oh, it's so great, the heroes are actually bad, the villain's actually good, blah blah blah. When it doesn't really happen that often. Like the most great most of our characters are not great. It's very black and white. We have like Stain maybe, but like other than that, it's like evil or good. Like, no. My first example is Dead Arms. Now, this guy is Dead Arms, if you didn't know. I didn't know his name either. But this guy is part of the slime incident. That's what I'm calling it. Or like, acid slime incident. And he stops Mount Lady and Kamui Woods from doing anything because he doesn't want them to get hurt. Because he's been in the business for so long that he doesn't want his fellow heroes to get hurt. Now, the thing is that this guy's, I don't really know. His quirk is just punching stuff. So, I don't really know what to... If I wanted so maybe he could help in the situation technically. Like, he has he has iron fists actually. That's his quirk now. But I don't know But either way, I like the characterization. That's his characterization as of the moment. This next one is Yu Takayama or Mount Lady. Now, I don't really know much about her except for like, oh, she's vain, she just likes attention, that's why she's a hero. And that she's totally not fan service because she's actually a girl boss or something. Well, that's fine. I want there to be more depth to the characters and just the heroes in general. So for her, I based her bit off of Nami and Boa Hancock, because Nami is a character that says she just wants money, she loves money, and she like swindle, and Boa uses her beauty as a way to take people. She could take advantage of people. She's like, oh, I'm so pretty that I can do no wrong. And for Mount Lady, I want her to have this exterior of like, oh, I'm so big, I just like money and I like the attention and whatever stuff like that. She's just a celebrity basically. But secretly, she cares about children and just the people around her. She's a nice person, but she hides it behind harsh words and just like nonchalant attitude. And since this is the world she lives in, she hides her soft kind heart under that kind of exterior, so no one will take advantage of her. And I think this is a lot better, though it's not really much of an upgrade. I think it's okay. And like, she likes kids and she wants to care about the future generation. Yeah. So that's more or less about like chapter 1 and 2 of my fanfic, if you're interested in reading. Thank you so much for watching this video. I was so scared this was going to turn into a 30-minute video, and I cannot believe I made such a long video, honestly. Oh my god, thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching. See you next video, I guess. Bye. Thank you.